So the purpose of this whole corporate KSUM meetup is basically to understand, few things. So one is like, how industry can support the Kerala government and, create a mutually win-win, vibrant startup ecosystem in Kerala. That is what, we intend to do with this meeting. And the second is like, the open innovation concept is it's a call for the day, right? So like, everywhere we see this, the concept of open innovation. We actually want to bring that, innovation, bring that concept in Kerala, because Kerala's startup, like, we have a lot of innovative products in the productization stage. And these are actually, really need to be scaled up with the support of the corporate. The market validation is the key here. So corporates to come here, give opportunity to startups, help them validate their products, and how collaboratively we can do that. That is something, we intend to do. So the discussion will be around, these kind of points, and your valuable suggestions means a lot to us. We will be, recording these, the points. We'll be noting down the points over here, and possibly with that points, we will try to create a consortium. So all those things will be at the later stage, but now this is the discussion that will happen today. So with that, I will take this opportunity to invite Mr. Anup Ambiga, the CEO of Kerala Startup Mission, to chair this meeting. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. So when somebody says that you need to chair a meeting, you need to have a chair, and they've removed all the chairs before I got onto the dais. I don't understand why. But I'll just give you a brief overview of the ecosystem that we have here in Kerala. Startup Mission was, as you see, there was a larger initiative that happened somewhere around 2010, where a group of students came together and started building an ecosystem out of a warehouse, started sending emails to the venture capitalists of California, and people started responding very favorably because, the Vinod Khoslas and the likes in the Silicon Valley was thinking, wow, such an ecosystem exists back in India. But then it was too premature at that time. And very soon people realized that, we are not mature enough to do something meaningful. So what happened is, since then, there was this haphazard way of doing things for the first few years. In 2016, the government formalized this structure and created what is called the Kerala Startup Mission. We have around 5,000 startups, and Karthik and his team has been looking at the 5,000 startups very closely over the last few months. And what we have been trying to do is to curate a list of startups which are very, very meaningful for somebody to engage with. And I think we have around 160 or 70 startups that we have identified as startups that matter, right? And our plea is that you only need to engage with startups that matter, right? Because as corporates, as individual investors, you can look at early ideas. You could probably even be a seed investor, wherein you can put, set aside a 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 25 lakhs, a crore to fund one of those ideas. But as corporates, I'm assuming that you're looking for solutions that you can implement into your sector, into the field that you guys are working on. And that requires a little bit of serious products, right? If I may say so. So we have done that exercise. We have around 180 startups that we can put across to you in the form of a folder or a booklet or something like that. What is the expectation? I'll give you the ask. These startups are always looking for three things, right? Out of which infrastructure is usually taken care of. I need a place to work. I need labs sometimes to test my product. I need some idea about the regulatory approvals that you might need to get to the market. How do I validate an AI model? I might not know how to do that. So if you have a data lab, GPU facilities. So all those infrastructure we are working with some of the larger corporates like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. So if there is anything that you can do to support a data center or a GPU time or a GPT tokens and things like that, right? If you have a scheme, an innovation scheme, where you can fund a startup to actually help them to use some of those infrastructure, please let us know. That is the first thing. The second thing is investment. And why would, any corporate invest into a startup? The only reason is you actually go ahead and disrupt what you're doing. Right? A very dangerous thing. Kodak, the famous story, they did not do it, so they kind of died. So everybody needs to look at it as, like yesterday, Dr. Shashi Tharoor was saying, the word innovation came from a Latin word, innovatio or something, which meant disruption, right? The funny thing is that at that time, both those words, innovation and disruption, was seen as a bad word. Because this is somebody who would go and change the system and nobody liked change. But over the past several decades, what has happened is, now it is seen as a good word. Everybody wants you to disrupt. Everybody wants you to innovate, right? So, as corporate leaders, you're all under the pressure of how do you improve or innovate or change the way I do things, change the products that I deliver, the way in which it is delivered, etc. So, these startups, some of these startups might be a mechanism to do that. And I can give you a specific example, right? There is a boy here who is displaying, his name is Christo LA. He has, I was just explaining it to the director of IT Mission, that product, to her today morning. I said, madam, you go to a mall and you go to the beauty section or wellness section, right? There are often these girls who will come to you saying that, madam, I've got a Lakme offer or I've got a L'Oreal offer, right? What he's trying to do is to build a robot which will completely automate that process. So looking at the footfall, the robot is going to come back and say that here is an offer from Lakme and bring up the product in front of you, right? Now that might sound like a very simple solution, but think about the analytics that it can gain over time. Think about the analytics of the number of people who are coming to each of the aisles. Think about people who are engaging with the robot. Think about what kind of people are. Is it youngsters? Is it, middle-aged men, women, old age? So you can think about the vision analytics that you can derive from that entire exercise. My take is that if delivered very well with proper finesse and design and beauty for the product, that is going to be a huge sell for an FMCG player. That is one example that I'm putting across to you, and he's right here. So basically, I just wanted to connect to something that you can see, touch, and feel. Similarly, there are several such products that you can actually look at wherein your business can be disrupted innovatively and give a better customer experience as part of this entire innovation. And that is why you should look at strategic investment into some of these startups that we will curate and send to you. The third one is obviously business. One of the major hiccups that we have in Kerala is the lack of the industrial ecosystem. I won't shy away from saying that, right? Every startup needs early adopter or adopters. And one of the biggest challenges that we have is the lack of the industrial ecosystem. So we are in parallel, we are working to bring in some of the large players so that we have an industrial ecosystem that will help us adopt these startup products. But at the same time, we want our corporate connect to be a program where some of these startups can actually go and experiment their products in the larger corporates. And I know that many of the companies like Boeing, I have seen, Love, I have seen, Airbus, I have seen. So there are several companies that are in Bangalore already having a captive center who have got an innovation cell, who is ready to actually adopt some of the products and give them the use cases. I have worked with Fidelity in that capacity when I was an entrepreneur in my previous job. One of the problems that I've seen is you can actually do 1 year of work with Fidelity and not be able to do any value, derive any value out of it. And as a startup, it is going to be suicidal for me because I only have, a limited amount of resources. And this is through the NASCOM Deep Tech Club that I got introduced to the Cisco's, the Unilevers, the Fidelities, etc. But the problem is that you should also be mindful that these are kids or professionals who only have a very limited set of resources and within which you need to gain the traction with the customer. So be kind to them. Do not use them as an experiment or something that you can showcase. Engage with them if you're very serious about disrupting your business, and please do have a use case in mind when you actually talk to them. So I talked about strategic investments that you could make, business that you could actually bring to these startups, any infrastructural support you might be able to give to these startups. Please see what you can do in each of these sectors. And what I would like to also say is an example of a CSR fund that we received from a corporate. So a professor from a women college, a women's engineering college, and her students made a satellite. And they wanted to send that satellite by December. And they are using the ISRO facilities for doing that. No money, right? So she actually went ahead, through multiple channels. Government has no scheme, because if you start supporting one project, then you have to start supporting every project, every innovative project that is coming out. Yeah? So we cannot open our wallet for such a pilot project. But we know that it's a women empowerment project, it is a space project, it is a student project. There are so many, good elements about it. So finally, somebody suggested that, a while back, SFO Technologies, which is one of the leading manufacturing companies here in Kerala, had given us around 50 or 60 lakhs in CSR funds. And we might be able to take and go ahead and use that. So we didn't have to ask anybody. We just went ahead and gave them 30 lakhs. And they are, set to launch that satellite somewhere in December, January timeframe. So that is another area where you could contribute. You could control that money. I'm telling you, you set aside 50 lakhs and you say that you do not release it until I tell you to do so. But if you can actually put aside a certain amount of CSR funds for innovative projects like this, that will be another fantastic contribution that you could make towards Kerala startup ecosystem. I guess I'll stop right here and listen to your words of wisdom, and probably then go out with some action items at the end of this conference. That is what we would like to do. Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting us to be a part of this fabulous event. It's a home state for me as well, so I hail from the state, so it's more heartening for me to come here and do something about it. So couple of ideas or couple of thoughts we had, so which we have done in the past also with different state governments in terms of only startups. So one is, so the state policy in terms of defining a startup engagement, I believe it is already in place. That is where that could be one of the things which we would have implemented in a couple of states across the country, which help the state to understand what all sectors to touch upon, where we also help them to create a fintech angle to it, and what all areas in fintech also are the key things which banks and other financial services industries can look at. So those kind of policy building, and I would say revisiting those policies once in a while, maybe 6 months or 1 year, because things keep changing. So once you have a policy, it's not that it's done once and for all. It could be revisited at a certain intervals. That is one thought I would like to share. Secondly, in terms of capital, no. So secondly, in terms of capital, or the main thing for a startup entrepreneur, which is the money, we do invest in startups, but we do not invest directly to startups. We have a fund of funds kind of a thing through which we invest. So rather than that, what we have done is, with certain size of startups, we have already started lending.
Last week we had our NASCOM Future Forge conference in Bangalore, and there were founder after founder who was saying, look, for me to develop the patient capital initial grant money, if I go to US, my comparative companies are getting 20 million to 100 million dollars, right, to do the initial development. If they're in health tech, it may take 5 to 8 years, maybe longer, for the product to come to market. So we need that. So we need patient capital of various sorts to come together, and this can come from potentially grantees. Government obviously plays a role, and I would encourage state governments to start to segment money for larger grants. Right, this is not about small grant. I agree with Anup that you can't fund every project that comes, but you need to take promising projects and be able to put enough wood behind it in order to take it forward. Second is, even institutional investors. One startup I was talking to yesterday, he was saying, look, I don't want to take institutional money because the VC will start pushing me for growth, and their business is not a traditional MRR ARR business, so they're not able to. So there's an impedance mismatch between what the VC is looking for and their LPs versus what they are doing. So one of the things we have started doing is, from the NASSCOM side, is to start to build a consortium of companies and VCs who truly understand patient capital, who are not looking for a return in 8 years or 5 years, right? So we'll have to ladder this. The way I'm thinking about it is we need to ladder the grants, the institutional money, and the point about lending, debt-based capital, because in many cases these are manufacturing companies. They're doing hardware, and potentially there's an opportunity to do debt financing along with this in order to make it work, right? But we need a thoughtful process on this, and we are looking for people. All of you in the room are welcome to join us in this journey, because I don't think we can solve it one by one. So that's definitely one big area. The second area where I think corporates can play a role, and this is something that we have done from VMware, is injecting talent. Not talent as in giving up your employees, but in terms of experiences that can be shared, right? So I'll give you one example. It's not a Kerala example, but in Karnataka, we have, we are a partner of the Karnataka KDEM, which is an equivalent of KSUM on the Karnataka end. And we have been working with their cybersecurity company. So we have a number of engineers who have been working in cybersecurity. They understand, many aspects of what it takes to protect an enterprise. That knowledge is definitely very valuable for startups, where they can come in and share their experiences. And if you can build a program where your experiences can be unlocked for the startups to help them accelerate. This is not giving them business per se, but if there is an injection of experience that can come in, that can short circuit their ability to get to market faster, it's definitely a piece. Of course, the way I tell my employees is, I would rather lose you to your own startup. If somebody is willing to start up, I think they will leave with our blessings in some sense, right? I think that's the other thing that I would encourage startups to look at, or corporates to look at, is can you let go of some of your best talent to become startup founders? Because I think their experience will be very valuable in actually accelerating this ecosystem. And if you look at what happened in the Valley, those are probably examples of where people left large companies, went on to do their own startups. So second area is definitely that. Third is, I think, the market access. Market access, not just you as a customer, but if you can create the recommendation. So the other aspect of market access is problem statements. So one of the things we were doing at NASSCOM is NIPP program is, we have about 40 corporates. And if you can bring those challenges to the market, if you can bring that to the startups, gives them again an injection of use cases that they can start to look at and taking that forward. And definitely a key part to what we do. The fourth area is policy inputs. See, one of the problems is there's a little bit of an ivory tower going on policy creation. Sorry, this is not aimed at any one government, but even if you're a central government or state governments, everybody's coming out with a policy. When they seek feedback, not enough people are giving them that feedback. The policy can only get better if there is a consultation process and people actually step forward to give feedback. I would encourage every corporate in this room to make sure that you're giving that feedback. Because, then after the policy gets launched, there's no point crying about it. This happened with the data protection bill, as you know. It got pulled back and then resubmitted. Because a lot of people gave feedback. That's the reason why it got pulled back. So not everybody has got the ability to think this through. We need to do this as an ecosystem. And the more you step forward and participate in the ecosystem, it's better. All of us wear our hats and our badges. We're very proud of the organizations we work for. But I would encourage people to also think about where you check in that badge as part of the larger ecosystem and be able to move move this forward.
Startups in some of the spaces where we see there is a a challenge which is now faced by our clients and our ecosystem partners and all those things. We onboard them. Of course, the due diligence is done. It comes through referrals as well. And after the diligence is done, there has been more than 1,000 plus startups who have entered into the STEP program. And once the diligence is done, what happens is that they are exposed to the internal business divisions. So the multiple business divisions of HCL Tech have a visibility in terms of what this startup brings to the table, so that they can look into either co-creating with them or developing a bespoke solution to a client together with them. So that's one of the ways by which it looks. The ESTIP program is also open to our ecosystem partners. And our ecosystem partners are the who is who around the world, including VMware, for example. They are part of the ecosystem partners. And so they have visibility as well. And through this ESTIP program, there has been instances where our ecosystem partners have directly connected with these startups and have done that. So that's the HCL Tech, the conventional way of the connect with the startup ecosystem. Of course, we also pick areas where we want to work with startups. So for example, one of the areas where we want to work with is the global challenge around water. Although this is a global problem and not too many people are working around it, and we see that technology has an important role to play in that area. So along with the World Economic Forum, through their Uplink platform, now Uplink is another startup ecosystem platform, through the Uplink platform, we have a grant program which is for 5 years. Every year we pick up 10 top technology organizations working in the freshwater space. It started last year. Last year was the first cohort of 10 people. Out of that, 2 are from India, rest from the other parts of the world. And this year at Davos, we'll be announcing the second cohort. Another 3 more years to go. So that's one space, very specifically on water. Of course, innovation doesn't just come from the business ecosystem. It can come from the civil society organizations as well. So the HCL grant is another one through which we support that. So HCL grant has been operating in India for so many years now. Every year we invite that. That's from the CSR space what we work with. And through that we do support that. And this year we have started operating the HCL Tech grant outside India as well. So the first call for innovative solutions around climate change has been called in the Americas, which is both the North and the South. So that call has happened now. I think we should be closing the window now. So yeah, these are the 3 dimensions in which we work. The conventional business ecosystem tie-up, then subject specific, we do invite, and the third one is through the social or the civil society organizations. Yeah, so apart from my role with HCL Tech, I also, which might be not very specific to a startup ecosystem, but I just want to keep that here, is I sit on the advisory committee of the SEBI's Social Stock Exchange Initiative, which is again an initiative to look into. When we say social stock exchange, it's not just for the civil society organizations. It also has any of those enterprises which works with a very clear intention of a social impact, even if it is a for-profit, can come into the social stock exchange, which might be a little later, of course. Series A, B, C, and maybe when you want to do for listing, you can have an option of the social stock exchange as well. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. And as he mentioned, I completely work out of a place called Guruvayur in Kerala. So yeah, I'm closer here. And if there is any support which I can do on my personal front, we'll be happy to do so. And once again, thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Santosh sir. Thank you for your valuable insights, how Startup Mission and HS can collaborate with in the follow collaboration. And now I would like to welcome King Shuk Banerjee, Head Research and Development, Hitachi India, on stage.
Hello. So thank you very much for this Kerala Startup Mission invite. I'll try to be brief. I love my 3C framework. And the 3Cs stand for, the first one is country specificity. I'll talk about that in a moment. The second thing is collaboration. And the third thing is creativity. These are the three areas where we would love to work with Kerala Startup Mission going forward, and also would love Kerala Startup Mission to change some of its codes to work better with us. Now, number one, country specificity. See, Hitachi is a large MNC like VMware, like HCL Tech now. It's an MNC, a big company like many Indian companies which are going global. But think about it. It's an $80 billion company, $5 billion research, headquartered in Tokyo, has research labs all over. But what would that company like to invest? Why would it like to invest in an Indian startup mission, Indian companies? The first reason is country. India as a country, it is getting a lot of attention now because of its consumer capability. Not because we have been producing talent all over the world, the GCCs, the ODCs, our engineers all over, I myself, so many years I've been working and living outside. But today, India is changing. Here is the spending happening. Today, we are like 3 to 5% of the global spend worldwide. Tomorrow, in 5 years, the global 13 to 15% of all the money that is spent worldwide would be from India. So naturally, country-wise, it's a very lucrative opportunity. We, Hitachi, we sell whole bunch of stuff, railways, signaling, energy systems, air conditioner, all the thing. And we see India as a fantastic economy where we can operate. And what would we like Kerala Startup Mission to do? We would like your guys to go and work on country-specific projects that helps us right here. I am not expecting quantum computing innovation straight away from your people, because I work with University of Cambridge, University of Tokyo, we work with some of the top guys and they have the facility. But Kerala Startup Mission can absolutely provide that grounds up innovation from, here. So we would love that. The second thing that we would love to work with you is in a collaborative. We want to collaborate better. We have provided a good amount of money. In the past, we have awarded 2 companies. We selected them as some of the startups. One of them is being sold already to buy. It was Big Basket bought them. The other company is out there, Fuselage, whom we said it's a fantastic company 2 years back, 1.5 years back. Today, they are on the road, right? So we have worked with Kerala Startup Mission. We are committed here. However, that commitment is not enough. We would like your people to reach out to us better with your top-notch capabilities that we are looking for. So we would like you to work harder to understand us and provide us with the right kind of innovation that's coming out of your of your wonderful setup. That is the second thing. And the kind of innovation that we are looking for, that segment also is important. Again and again, we manufacture bullet trains. We manufacture Shinkansen 9000. We work with some of the latest artificial intelligence systems for defense systems, space tech. Probably those are not the places where I would go and consume your innovation straight away. But we are working with the precision agriculture here. We are working with telemedicine. We are working with smart systems in manufacturing. You know, there is so much of manufacturing stuff all over. Like HCL Tech guys know, L&T, some of the Indian companies. The walls will be hearing, the windows would be, the doors will be talking. Those are the days we are going. We'll have sensors all over. We have data privacy. We have many, many problems. But most important problem is how do we go and galvanize the data, monetize it, and leverage it. We would love your innovation there. So we have to understand that segment where we can collaborate. The third thing is creativity. Any innovation does not work. Copycat innovation is important. We make money out of that. This country needs some of that, absolutely. Many venture capitalists, they love it because it's a proven model. There is a huge consumer base. We can make money out of it. But we, Hitachi, and we are a conglomerate. We have energy, we have many things, and I represent R&D, I lead the R&D in India. We are specifically looking for the top capability from Kerala who are creative, who can partner with academic institutions to bring the latest and greatest, and not just another copycat. Somebody who can think, somebody who can imagine, somebody who can conceptualize, somebody who can conceive, somebody who can really work with us to create the next generation stuff. That's what we are looking for. And really, really, this is something I'm very passionate about. You know, we do not want to go and get another run of the mill. We ourselves, we love creating technology, and that's where we want to partner. So these are the 3 C's I have with you. Thank you, guys.
Since we don't do a lot of work in India, I think the one thing that I can probably suggest from an Indian context is on sustainability, because that's something that's very big for us as an organization, and we're doing it across the globe. In fact, post-COVID, one of the big areas that I think most of us understand is the health, especially mental health. And we were partnering with an organization in the state of California to really understand some of the problems and how to enable people who have a health problem, right? And these are, problems that came up literally on the spurt of a moment, right? If pre-COVID, we probably wouldn't have had this problem, or we wouldn't probably even be thinking or trying to innovate on this problem. But post-COVID, that was something that came up. And we created a solution. Again, it's not a solution per se; it's getting iterated. So when I say sustainability, it's a very broad, everything from common community-related problems to anything that helps sustainability, right? Green IT, green economy, carbon emission, and so on. So those are kind of the 3 or 4 things that I think we can bring to the table. Thanks.
Maybe a little bit different. What I am representing today is I represent media and entertainment industry. I represent one of the sunrise sectors that Government of India has recognized in the last financial year, which is media and entertainment. And we, based out of Technopark, we would like to be supporting or working with Kerala Startup Mission is we wanted to build a creative economy that has been going on for the past 24 years, what we have been working, but we would like to develop that within the state of Kerala because we find that there's a lot of talent that is there, and especially with the young creative artists. So we are working with Kerala, or rather, when I'm saying we are working, we look forward to be associating with Kerala Startup Mission to get this innovative IP properties to be developed together and take it globally. And that is where today, when you're talking about Indian media and entertainment industry, we are at just 1% of the global industry. That's about 400 billion, and we are just 1% of that. And we are trying to look that to increase it into 10% maybe by 2030. And our state has got the best potential. If you look at it, any of this, any of the media and entertainment, I would say the IPs that are there in the country now, we have the best of the talents coming in from Kerala. So we wanted to curate that. We wanted to help. We wanted to work with Kerala Startup Mission to see that we can take these properties and make it global one. And that is one of the aspects that we would like to be looking forward to be supporting and working together with Kerala Startup Mission. The second one is there are a lot of young ideas. But what happens is, when I'm talking about from my industry, that is media and entertainment, we find it difficult because they need, the renter farms, they need the softwares, they need the, I would call it as the higher-end machines that where they need to start working on this. That is something which we are looking forward to be supporting. Again, this is going to bring in revenue to the state and also to our countries that what we are looking forward. This is the second aspect that what we look forward. And third one is the creative economy that we are talking about it. We have a lot of, today you're talking about we are talking about the four main, I would call it as the disruptors in this industry is content, distribution, and it is about, we reaching across to globally. And the fourth one is the IPs that we own. So if Kerala, or maybe I'm talking about Kerala Startup Mission, and I'm talking about not only Toons, the entire ABGC sector of Kerala, where we can work together, we can have these properties curated, and this will be having a constant revenue making process, which is that we look forward to be working with Kerala Startup Mission. And also one thing is that today 140 constituents or 14 districts of Kerala, there are a lot of talents, which is households, which is young wives, or maybe mother, or maybe I'm talking about students. We wanted to help them to create their own contents, where Kerala Startup Mission will be really helpful for us, because we see that there is a lot of potential for this industry to grow in the next 4 to 5 years. And that too, we feel Kerala has got one of the best potentials, and that's what we are looking to be working with Kerala Startup Mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerala Startup Mission, for the opportunity. It's good to interface over here. Definitely being in Kerala for the past 10 years, though I have my roots over here, I've studied outside that place. But this state is fascinating, and you understand that only when you come to the state. When you're outside the state, you don't understand. The typical taboos keep haunting you. But when you're here, you understand there is tremendous potential over here. One point which I take from yours, sir, if you can actually give us a list of those startups, that would definitely help. Rather, I'll be able to take it back and give it to my group and tell them that the kind of potential what is there. A small example, the group started in Trivandrum Techno Park 10 years ago. But when they were looking for the next office, this office, they said, please go to Bangalore. Please go to Bangalore. That was the mandate given to me, and we had to start a second office in Bangalore. So that's definitely a point where we all need to understand we are not able to attract talent from the country to come to Trivandrum, or rather Kerala. That's something which needs to be seriously thought about. Of course, I think this is just an offset. In terms of a fund, as you said, you could look at where we can contribute. So you can pool in the fund, whatever comes can be made bigger, and then you have the thought process or the vision where you would like to take it to. Taking a clue from what all the other speakers said, sustainability is something very important, and that's something which our organization firmly believes in. They are into energy, they are into the construction space, where there is a huge potential for making the resources much better, reducing all wastage, and technology can play a big part over here. If there is an option where you have a proper monitoring of whatever is being done in the construction industry, that's something which my company would be interested to acquire as a technology. Could be even a small thing like how your paint is getting utilized in your actual project management space. There is a lot of wastage happening over there. I'm just giving one example. There can be many more examples. So this is my take. If there is some options, if there is somebody who's seriously willing to work on this, there are options where the company can look at acquiring the technology or even taking that as a part of the group. This is my small point over here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Good afternoon. Good evening, actually, I'd say. I am Biju. I am from Lassen and Dobro. We have started an... Hello? Okay. I am from Lassen and Dobro. We have a couple of years back, we have started a new business unit called Digital Energy Solutions. So I am heading the idea and incubation team. So our primary focus is to collaborate with the universities and startups and identify potential ideas in the construction, especially on the energy sector. So we are actually looking at it because nowadays, the utility side, there are a lot of data is coming actually, and they don't know what to do with the data. How do I really utilize this data to efficiently maintain my equipments, my assets, their electrical assets? When I say the electrical assets, transformers and solar assets, and all those kind of assets monitoring, we are looking for solutions. And when we are actually talking to the solution providers outside, the vendors from Europe or USA and all, it is a very price and costly solution. And when we can actually work with the startups here, probably actually we can build up a very good and great solutions basically. So one of the things we are looking from the idea and incubation side is that we are actually hosting a national level ideation event where we are actually defining a lot of new problems from our customer side, and where Kerala Startups Mission can also actually participate on those kind of a product and solution development, where they can actually come up with some proof of concept, because the customers are actually not believing whether your company is actually able to qualify for the bidding process. So first criteria they are asking, suppose if L&D want to connect with a partner, they want to look at what is the qualification of the partner, how do they actually qualify for the bidding process. So they will not be able to directly partner with us. So how we will actually encourage them to participate, we want to really look at whether they have any implemented idea available. If there is a proof of concept is actually they have developed or implemented with a government body or a real industry, and it is always a chicken and egg story. Until unless the startup gets an opportunity, they cannot implement also. So this is where actually we thought of incubating these ideas. So where we actually collaborate with the startups and identify a potential customer incubation place where actually we can see if there is potential solutions are there and what kind of problem they can solve it. For example, I was talking to one of the startup today. They are actually into human health analytics actually. So they are actually using a lot of sensors to identify not a health analytics, it's a driver pattern analytics. So this guy actually, he has done a wonderful job. But now, how do I actually take up that idea into the energy sector? Okay, so I was sharing some of the things. Okay, you are doing basically analytics, and why don't you think that these data you are collecting from machines actually, and these machines data actually you use it and predict the health of the machine, identify the patterns of the machine usage, and look at actually how you can see how efficiently the machine can work on it, how you can tune the machine actually efficiency. So that's how actually now they are actually rethinking and see how they can build this product for a corporate like that. But when they want to build it, they want a platform, they want a lab actually where we can set up. that is where actually corporate can come, and we can actually provide a platform or a R&D lab where they can demonstrate their product and they can test it and prove it. That's how the qualification they can actually achieve it. Until unless they are qualified, then we will not be able to partner with them. So, and that is one approach. Another approach is white labeling. Okay, so we are not exposing any startups directly to the customer. We will actually take the solution, we white label in our name, but they don't need to chase for the customer. We chase for the customer, and they will be always working as a partner. That is another approach we are taking. And third approach is like a co-creation. So it's like we are actually building a huge, big solution for an industry. It includes components from multiple parties. So for example, if I am providing a digital solution for a bigger power utility, let's say building a power plant, solar power plant, okay, it's like in solar farms when we are building, lot of components are required, inverters, solar modules, digital solutions. So there, how do I integrate piece by piece? So I can play as an integrator role where these startups can actually, provide their individual components. And here the important thing is that the presentation of their component, it should be a super quality. That is the first and important point. Because startup, when we are actually looking, it's okay. It's an unmatured product. But when we are actually presenting, you have to really present in a way that you are equally competent with the European standard or a US standard. And the professional way, actually, when we look at the certifications, because in India, actually, nobody will really mind for the certification, but when we are exposing to the global market, each product actually, they require a certain certification criteria. For example, IT products also, if you look at now, GDPR is a mandatory when you are actually chasing for a company in the Europe. So the Kerala Startup Mission can actually consolidate all these requirements from the industry and then pass on to the startups here and make their product actually much more quality, oriented way. And another buzzword actually in the industry is everybody is building sustainability product actually. So you need to actually come up with now actually startup means that they are creating some new products. So if there is no sustainability focus, then nobody is going to buy that product. To be honest, last 3 weeks I was attending multiple conferences in Sydney, Melbourne, Dubai, and other part of the world. There is no startups or no companies talking about net zero carbon emission, sustainability, and all other buzzwords. They are only talking about, if you use my product, your energy efficiency can be improved this much. You can reduce the emission by this much. And these are the buzzwords actually they are using it. And when we are going and pitching to such customers and utilities, you also need to say that, okay, I am sourcing from a startup where their net zero emission is this much. How do you measure that one? And they are only using sustainable products and they are actually environment friendly. And then only actually, I will be able to sell my solution to my customer actually. So there are a lot of industry changes are happening. The way actually we develop the products are changing actually. The landscape is changing. So there should be some seminars and conference, and we need to really build this knowledge among the startups. And we need to try to build not just a simple product. It's a world-class quality product. Because we should not underestimate ourselves where actually, it's a startup and we can only do this much. When I am seeing some screens and all, it's all functionality-wise, it's all looking good. But that impression is not coming actually. Okay, that quality and that standard actually, when we look at for example, I was actually yesterday in Dubai, I was seeing a screen developed by Iranian company actually. I was not expecting such a fantastic actually screen. They were a small five-member team, but the way actually they have presented was awesome. You get an attraction actually, when you are looking at it. But our point is actually we are building a lot of ideas, but we don't know how to present that ideas. So there, I think Kerala Startup Mission can contribute to educate the startups and also tune them how they can prepare these products in a better quality way. That's what I want to say. Okay, thank you.
Well said.
Huh?
Well said.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll come and gather.
Yes.
Good evening, all. I'm representing Accenture. I'm a business consultant handling marketing for US, Can, and EMEA region. So in Accenture, we have an exclusive program for investment, and that's called Accenture Ventures, where we collaborate with entrepreneurs who help us to solve the problems that our clients are facing. So the thing is that what we realized at Accenture is that one of the most important problems that the startups are facing is not lack of funds or lack of ideas. So the thing is that there's a challenge in having access to or how to understand the real business problems that the clients are facing. So we understand that we should give access to the startups to the problems that our clients are facing, and that's one of the ways that we can help the startups to come up with some solution that benefits us to help solve the problems that our clients are solving. And as part of the Accenture Ventures, we have a program called Spotlight Program. So as part of this program, what we do is that we bring startups to the Accenture Innovation Hub ecosystem. So what we do is that we give them access to the technology and expertise the Accenture is having, and also give them access to the clients that we have. So what we are trying to do is that we collaborate with the startups and we co-innovate and help them scale their projects in such a way that can create an impact to solve the problems that our clients are facing. And this is one way that Accenture tries to collaborate with the business, and what we do is that we try to scale these projects and we help them to bring this project to the market. And in that way, this particular project can be brought to the market in a rapid manner. And so one thing that we focus at Accenture, we focus mostly on the software technology projects. And as a consulting company, we just want to bring new technologies that can help our clients to have a better business. And so our focus is mostly on the software technology and something related to analytics, connected planning, and all our areas where Accenture focuses on. So if there are projects, any startups are coming up with projects that can help us to leverage the technology in these spaces, Accenture will be happy to collaborate with the startups in the Kerala Startup Mission. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jyoti Pahad Singh. I'm representing Societe Generale. I head their innovations practice out there. Kerala Startup Mission is not new to us. We have been collaborating with them for some time now. The way I think that we can really support each other, earlier they had been a part of our accelerator program. We had seen some very promising startups coming from there, whether it was on the early warning signals or some of these trust algorithms that we had worked on. The getting a feel of what are the kinds of startups which is coming, because we would have liked to collaborate more. There were a proposal, I've been talking to Prajit around it for this. Happy to mentor also some of those startups, but it has to be defined a little more well as to what is it that we're looking for. So as a bank, we obviously look for a lot of fintech solutions, but we are not really limited to fintechs, because many of you talked about sustainability. Sustainability is the aspect of it. So we do want to focus on the sustainability, the ESG scorecardings, and what is the kind of, a very equitable kind of parameters that we are defining. Is this in line with the global market? So whether it is ESG, whether it is about employee experience, because that could be very country specific, it cannot be anything else, because we are a global bank, we really don't have much of a retail presence out here. So that's somewhere anything that is the beautiful innovation which is happening in India ecosystem, it is great to know about it, but not necessarily we will be able to leverage that. And yet we think that knowing those stories, getting to know what the solutions are is always good because we can package it and take it to our group partners. The way we have supported KSUM and their startups is we do conduct roadshows and we invite them so that whenever our various visitors and tech partners as well as clients do come, they get a view of some of those solutions, and such conversations do go multiple route. We do invite them to some of our accelerator programs, whether it is within India or outside. We groom them, mentor them, so that we know that this is the way you pitch it. So the chances of you being even heard or being promoted to the next level is much better because, of course, that being in India, we would like to support them. Something which would help Society General, where we would expect from Kerala Startup Mission, is if there is some dedicated SPOC who can connect with our innovations team. Maybe it's a monthly governance or once in 2 months governance where we get a list of startups whom we can screen and say, okay, let us just talk to them. Because being a part of innovations, we are not just looking at exact solutions all the time. Sometimes it could be a solution which can be resonated or, just pivoted in such a way that it can be something for our own business as well. Because we are the support and the technology team of the actual retail client-facing bank. So there's a whole gamut of things that we can do it in. So if we keep getting these, we can curate, we can screen at our own end, make sure that there are some connects and see how we can help. So it's a two-way street. We have been in touch with Project, but yeah, if we can have a very regulated governance around it, we can structure it. And of course, while there are other corporates that I see here who are supporting, if we could collaborate with them and we can join those hands and then go in there, because I do understand that when we mentor some of these startups, doing it alone, having just one leader is not enough because everybody has that challenge of investing that amount of time. So maybe we could just make small cohorts of some of the groups that I'm seeing here and collaborate to support the KSUM team. That's all I would present. Thank you so much.
We can connect the startups with the larger industry ecosystem. And I believe that would be one advantage KSUM can derive out of partnering with SAP. That's basically what I want to tell, but as I leave, just want to ask one question. If I have this, the next cohort from SAP, whom do I reach out to? How do I tell that there is something like this happening in SAP? Is there a point of contact?
Yes, and that can be for the information for everybody who's here. Basically, Prajit is the one who's taking care of the corporate connect, and Prajit would have been the one who has already talked to all of you as part of bringing you all together here. So Prajit is the point of contact for corporate connects. So anything, and I had a question. I did have a good meeting with Sindhu when she came to Trivandrum, and is it only ERP startups, or are you like generic, it doesn't matter if it is a SDG goal, related startup, then you'll be able to support?
Yeah, anything with that is problem solving in nature.
Okay, fantastic.
It's not ERP specific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing participation, really good to connect with a lot of people. I'll just take maybe a couple of minutes to speak about what we do for startups at IDFC. We have a full-fledged program for startups and would love to explore how we could partner with KSUM and try to understand how we can have more participation from Kerala startups into our startup program. Probably one other piece that I'll like to touch upon, the program Leap to Unicorn, which we had participated with KSUM as well. We are actually having a finale event on Monday in Delhi, where the startup head also is joining in. So we've actually selected the top 100 startups from across the country, And we've also, provided a platform where more than 30 plus investment partners actually could interact with these startups. We would love to, have more participation from the Kerala startups in this initiative as well. So would love to have more deeper, discussions, understand how there could be more collaboration. One ask would be that, we have, whenever we have these opportunities, some kind of like Leap to Unicorn Season 2 is launching. We will be having applications from across the country. We would love to have more participation or more reach out to startups from Kerala. So if there's some way that you could enable that, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
So I'll kind of quickly summarize what was discussed. So we started off talking about, Ramkumar sir mentioning about patient capital and, longer times that is, that is required to generate ROI. And again, sir, to address the point that you mentioned, so in the efforts to increase the quantum of grant supports, especially to deep tech startups, that is something which is actively in the works. So we are trying to club some of our schemes along with some of the DST schemes, so that capital availability for startups at the technology development phase, that is definitely more. And this is again the injection of talent to help startups to accelerate the time to market. So one way which we are trying to address that is through mentorship. So the mentorship framework, what we have been running up until this point, so that is being reworked. So we'll be definitely reaching out to all of you in this audience and beyond, so that if any one of your senior members or people from the middle management who might have expertise in specific areas, they could easily contribute to accelerate the journey of the startup. That's point number 2. And in terms of market access, again, we've been trying our bit. I think if we keep continuing, whatever we've been doing, I think some results should come through. And again, on policy inputs, recently, we have floated, the revised startup policy to the government. Once the government is okay with the initial draft, we will again float it out for a stakeholder consultation and all that. And yeah, just a second. And again, to address what Dr. Kingshuk Banerjee was mentioning, so country specificity and collaboration as well as creativity, we completely understand that some of the mission critical or on those segments you wouldn't want to experiment with a startup. We completely understand that part. So whatever is the need of the hour in terms of a product or a solutioning. So primarily, because I also happen to take care of incubation programs and investments. So the way we are looking at it is, for a corporate, you could either buy from a startup, sell through a startup, or you could co-create. Those are 3 segments, or you could look at a startup as a strategic investment, which could come through your venture arm. So these are 4 models of engagement, that primarily we are looking at. So in any of these segments, if there is a specific thesis or a problem statement, please do reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you through the initial phase of matchmaking. That we are more than willing to do that. That's what I'd like to have as a retort to your comment. And again, for to the gentleman from L&T, so you did mention, so instead of a vendor development or a vendor qualification process, you are looking at incubating the startup, so that and again, to answer your question around the regulatory clearances or the products having a certain set quality benchmark or a regulatory benchmark. So what we are trying to do is to put together a revolving fund for startups, especially in areas such as deep tech or space tech or medical devices, to use that fund to actually do the regulatory clearances, because that is where, because it is both a working capital problem as an investment problem. And that is again, the regulatory barrier is actually the entry barrier, or that is what is
preventing you from accessing the market, right? So it solves a market access problem, it solves an entry barrier problem. So that is again something which we are trying to address through a soft loan or a revolving fund. So that is my answer to your query. And the other points, and again for the speaker who had come in from Society General. Again, fintech and ESG. So I'll be honest here. So despite having such an organized lending sector in Kerala, we haven't had much of a traction in fintech. So that is sort of a paradox that we are also trying to address. Because fintech. Given all the factors that are available in Kerala, we must have had more fintech startups, but unfortunately, for whatever reasons, we don't. But ESG is definitely, one sunshine area that we are seeing, and especially in areas such as clean energy, waste management. So wherever there are good startups that are coming up, like as Anup was mentioning, the 150 to 200 odd serious startups with serious products. Those are startups, which we will present to you, or you could present problem statements, and like I mentioned earlier, we could help do the matchmaking process. And again, and for for all the other corporates with dedicated startup or open innovation tracks, as and when you have such programs getting rolled out, do reach out to us, or do let share the creatives with us 2-3 months before, whenever is the timeline for that. We'll ensure that the whole entrepreneur or founder community in Kerala gets access. They at least know that such a program is there, because what I have also found is many of the programs are widely shared across founder circles in Bangalore or Bombay, but the founders in Kochi or Trivandrum don't have access to that data. That is information asymmetry, which is something quite unfair, which we all in this audience must try to address. So yeah, that is all I had to add. And Anup, for your comments, please.
I'm pretty certain that in the coming days we'll reach out to each one of you and try and do some good work together. Enjoy the rest of your day, and the beach is pretty nice after 6 o'clock. So do get out, get some sea breeze, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, everyone, and look forward to being in touch and meeting each one of you in the coming days. Thank you.